Hi, I'm Grace, I'm autistic and ADHD. First signs of neurodivergency, with hindsight, was when I was younger. I really was sensitive to things like food, I didn't like fireworks, I had what I probably realise now were like meltdowns. I think the first time I properly started to think, hey, maybe I'm neurodivergent, was in A levels, because I really started struggling, and then my work just really spiraled, and they were like, we probably need to see what's happening because clearly something's not working. And so from there, I then went on to pursue that. Having autism and ADHD is kind of like having one side of me that really wants order. That's the autism. It wants a system for things. And then the other side is the ADHD, which wants controlled chaos. And I sort of have to balance this really weird line of going, I want the organisation, but I don't know if I can get to the point where I can enforce the organisation. So you're stuck in a weird limbo. So I'm currently studying robotics. I'm on a placement year. I've done my first 2 years. This is my third year. I'm currently working at a company, Foundries.io. They do a lot of back-end tech stuff, and currently I'm doing a lot of stuff with this board. I'm sort of learning about the back-end stuff. Both having to live and work in my room can be difficult because I have to try not get distracted, and that kind of means I have to have a certain amount of self-control, which at some times it's a bit easier than others. I sort of have to then force myself to go, no, put the thing you want to do down, we gotta work. I have to, with my room, sort of try and keep a level of organisation, which is sort of why I got that shelf actually, because it saves me putting everything on the floor and having to step over it, because I know if it's on the floor, I'm just going to keep stepping over it and then it'll just pile up. Sometimes you get the random urge to rearrange your room. Sometimes that will happen. Sometimes it's just I'm going to go out on a walk because I can. Because if I'm working from home, I do kind of need to try actually get out and have some exercise. Yeah, Cabot's busier at this point in time. But this is where I am going where I think I'm going, right? Right? Affecting my day-to-day life. Well, it's kind of split between what my autism does and what my ADHD does. So my autism affects a lot of how I interact with people. It's kind of like social rules aren't as intuitive sometimes to me. That's sort of the general vibe of it. My ADHD, time management and just motivation. So like trying to put away laundry, trying to remember you've got an appointment, things like that. Like they're sort of separate at times, but they can also combine a bit.
Would you like a bag?
No, thank you.
I'll get the others on the sides and enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you. Trying to deal with neurotypical people sometimes and like socializing can be difficult. That's not as easy as most people. So things that are obvious to other people, the social rules, I don't get automatically. Other things that can be difficult as well, organisation, trying to explain to someone that it's not that I don't care about this thing, it's that I find it really difficult to start this task, and it can just get a little bit frustrating when I'm trying to sort of just go, this is how I work, and other people are going, but you're just lazy, and I'm like, no, I'm not, I swear. I can definitely feel like I'm being a burden sometimes. There's sometimes things where I'm like, I want to ask things, but it just feels like I'm being really specific. I don't want to have to tell, say, my housemates, could you keep it down? I know that you're not being that loud, but I can hear you really clearly, and it's setting the sense in my senses off, because that feels a bit rude.
I have description. So I get this once a month, and I have to pick it up from somewhere like this, which can be a bit of a faff if you forget to order it, but I didn't forget this time, which is good. Well, common side effects, raised blood pressure, and typically a loss of appetite, because this is a literal methamphetamine. So I have to weigh myself, I have to do a blood pressure test just to make sure that's all healthy, and I always have to try and remember to eat lunch, because it's really easy for me to skip meals, and that's not a good habit to get into, considering I take this daily.
So I think I got into Warhammer because I decided on a whim to turn up to the club they had at secondary school, and I just kind of stayed, and I just kind of vibed with it. I was like, yeah, I can do this, and then it sort of just spiraled from there. So I'm running roleplay war games and TCGs. I started off, I think, in my second year as vice president because I don't think many people were running for it, and I was like, hey, that's something I'm interested in. And then, obviously, this year I'm like, I can run for president. So I just sort of did. So, war games, roleplay, and TCGs, I commonly joke that everyone there is either queer, neurodivergent, or a theatre kid. And while not true, it's more accurate than I'd probably care to admit. So there's a lot of people there who are neurodivergent. There's a lot of people I could vibe with because we're all sort of the same mindset and we all sort of get each other. So it's quite nice to just go, actually, I can make a bunch of friends here because A, they've got a similar interest, and B, they get me. They kind of get how I function, or even if they don't entirely, they have some sort of understanding about what sort of situation I'm in mentally.
You've got a good amount of armour.
I'm in a leadership position. Oh God, who put me here?
Well, do you?
It's fine.
Right.
This is my shit show to command.
Yeah, the society definitely helps with making friends and stuff and like continuing the hobby. It's a really good way of meeting new people. I've made 90% of the friends here from this club alone, which has really helped both my confidence and other people's confidence. It's really nice to do, and I look forward to every Wednesday because of it. And yeah, so it's a really good social space for people like me and people who are similar to me.
I think the thing about Warhammer is, if you get the right group, it's really good. Like, it's really ironic that sort of this very quintessentially nerdy hobby requires you to have friends. So, like, yeah, sure, there's a few bad eggs in there, and you can definitely have some bad experiences, but if you find the right group and the people you get on with, it's pretty much plain sailing from there. Community it's really nice to have, like having a group of people who understand you and can sort of translate in that sense. Like if I'm getting confused by something of like, why are people seeing it that way, and someone can go, here's what people are thinking and this is how it turns into that reaction. I'm like, it's clown to clown communication, as I like to call it. But it's really nice just to have sort of that thing of, if I mess up, there's going to be other people around who are like, she's not doing it intentionally, she's just, like, not getting it. It helps me improve. If I'm being a bit too loud, people will be fine to say, you're being a bit too loud, I know you don't mean this, and I can go, and I can sort of turn the volume back a bit. I think having that sort of unified community is probably gonna come when sort of things like autism and stuff like that aren't like a buzzword. The minute autism isn't a dirty word in that sense of like, it's not something that's sort of, you don't have to be ashamed of it, you can be proud of it. It's like, you want to get to a point where someone saying, hey, I'm a Virgo, has the same thing as, hey, I'm autistic. It's people going, yeah, cool.